So I just realized something that's really fucked up. And I'll try to explain and give context so you can understand. And it's so fucked up. It's definitely so illegal and it will cause me my death. But this is the fucked up thing I just realized it's easy to understand once when you have the information. But it's a lot of information to take in to be like, how could that be possible? It is illegal for me to be alive as soon as I lose this apartment. I'm not kidding. It is illegal. I will be put in the prison if I stay alive. Now, you're probably thinking, that's a crazy statement. Nobody can be put in prison just for being alive. Well, there's circumstances that make it so. But no matter where I try to stay alive, they will arrest me once when I lose this apartment. Why is that? Well, let's see. Okay, I lose my apartment. Let's start with day one. If I go to the shelter, they will tell me it's illegal for me to stay there and be not able to move my legs in the morning when they tell me. It's illegal for them to let me have seizures and falls in the shower naked, unconscious, and let me come back to continue doing that. They'll tell me not having a disability as severe as mine, not documented, not treated, is illegal. Definitely. They'll tell me it's against their policies and throw me out. They won't call the police and have me put in the jail. And it's not technically illegal yet. But they'll throw me out because they can't let me stay there. Okay, so now I'm on the sidewalk. But if I stay there, I am breaking the law. I'm trespassing. So being alive in front of the shelter is illegal. If I try to stay there for the night or for a day or so, I will be put in the prison. Okay, so we go to the hospital. The hospital releases me on the spot and says if I keep on trying to come back, they'll have me arrested for trespassing, that I must leave the property. So it's illegal for me to be on the hospital's property because they've just released me because of my medical records. Okay, so then I go try to sleep on a bench. It's illegal for me to sleep on a bench, so they try to arrest me. Okay, I try to get my license. I get my license and I'm sleeping in my car. But because I have epilepsy and I lied about me having a disability that wasn't able to put on paper, and because I am having seizures and because I do have problems with my arms and legs, and I did not tell the DMV that, because if I tell the DMV that, they want paperwork, I can't provide the paperwork, so they won't let me drive. So if I try to drive or sleep in my car, again, it's illegal. Okay, let's try to go to work and get an apartment. If I go to work and I don't put down my disabilities on the form, that is illegal. I'll lose my job. If I do put down my disabilities on the job and my work starts having problems with my disabilities, they will have me leave work and I can't come back to work until doctors diagnose me. So it's illegal for me to live like that too. It's illegal for me to work with disabilities and having falls and lying to my job. That's illegal as well. Okay, so it's illegal for me to sleep in an apartment and go to work. I just did that over and over. I would get a job, tell them I'm disabled, they would see it, then I'd have to get another job, then they would see my disability, then I'll get another job. And it's not like they're firing me. It's just they need paperwork from a doctor for me to get back, as well as they have no idea what's going on. So it's really embarrassing for me as well, because now they've seen me on the floor, they've seen me not be able to speak, and they have no idea what's going on, and I'm not providing any paperwork to my work. So they have no idea. You know how embarrassing it is to have a 25-year-old serious disability like mine, but your work wants paperwork? They're like, how could this kid not have paperwork after 25 years? Everybody's going to have that same thought. Any work I go to will be like, 25 years this kid's had these problems? How can he not be on meds yet? How could... Because my mother and father lied to doctors, called me a liar, a fantasy spinner, and tried to cut off all services whatsoever, making it impossible for me to even live, drive, or do anything. For me to get these doctors to help me, first I need to make a bunch of money and have a car. But to have a bunch of money and get a car, I need the doctors to help me. But for the doctors to help me, I need a bunch of money and a car. But to get a bunch of money in the car, I need a doctor. So, okay, let's try work. If I want to go to work, I need a doctor to write paperwork. To get the doctor to write paperwork, I need to work, have a job, money for like 10 years. I also need to not get injured. But then my work needs paperwork from the doctor. So I go to the doctor. The doctor needs more from my family or medical history or before I go back to work. So it just goes into these circles. And what's putting me in these circles? My mother's and father's lies in the made-up medical record. The fact my father made a fraudulent Social Security case, let his wife spin stories about me, is what's getting in the way. I'm not caught in any circle. I have a job. I have all this. But my father caught me in a circle. It's not like I caught myself in it. It's not like I did drugs. It's not like there's anything else wrong in my life. The only thing that keeps on running me into the ground in pain is that the doctors have no idea what the truth is. Instead, they think that everything must be a fantasy coming out of my mouth. When I say my mother's dead in 2011 and they get a phone call from my father's new wife, they say, no, your mother's alive. No, 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 your mother's alive. We just talked to her. But I watched her die. I watched her go through liver failure. I know my mother's dead. No, 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 that's just a fantasy you have. What? Go fuck yourself. It's not a fantasy. Then I go in with internal bleeding into my testicles. I have pictures of this. It's from 2 inches of my belly button's in pain. I feel something happening there. My testicles fill with blood. I go to the emergency room once again. They screw with me. Why? Because once again, my father is misinforming the doctors for over 25 fucking years. They had a 15-year head start in screwing me. Well, other people might be set up for their parents but to go to college, or maybe they go get good school, or maybe they're set up to go to a better school, or maybe they're set up with a brand new car, or maybe they're set up with driving. I was set up with a bunch of fraudulent statements, a fake mental health record, my Social Security all fucked up by my father. He stole money, lied, manipulated Social Security, allowed his wife to lie about my illnesses, causing a big mess. That is what's getting me in these circles, is that big mess my mother and father created. So how do I get out of this? How do I just go back to work and live my life? Well, that's the thing. There isn't anything I can do but speak the truth. And I'm doing that. I can go to the doctors, speak the truth, and try to stay alive. That's it. But the federal government, they can do something. The states, they can do something. The workers, they can do something. The doctors, they can do something if they want to actually invest time in me and stop listening to my medical records that are fraudulent. My family, they can do the most. They are a witness to this. They were there. They saw my mother acting crazy. All they have to do is back me, go and clear this out. Maybe some attorneys, actually, attorneys would definitely be necessary to clear out fraudulent medical records that were used for Social Security. That definitely would have to cleared out by a lawyer or by the state. And it's not like I'm after my father either. I just want my life. I just want my health to stop being held hostage. I want my doctor to be my doctor so I can go back to work. But instead, what my father wants is to avoid responsibility, make sure nobody knows the truth about his second wife. He wants me to be a liar and a fantasy spinner, and that's what he wants people to believe. Instead, all I'm telling people is my life story. That's it, beginning to end. The PTSD memories that I'll have for the rest of my life, clear as day. Those things, they happened. People were there. It's like when my mother was hitting me with a ruler. Why do I mention that one all the time? Because there's a witness. My mother smacked me around all the time, backhands in the cars. But most of the time she would do it when nobody was around. So then my father just calls me a liar. My mother smacked me around a lot. No, he's a liar. But if I say I was smacked with a ruler in front of my grandson, then he calls me a liar. Then he has to call my nephew a liar when he goes, oh no, I saw that. That made me cry. I didn't like that. Then he has to call two people a liar. And that's how this works. I have hundreds of witnesses to this. People have been worried about me because of what my mother and father are doing to me for 25 years. But every year or two, I'm brought to a new state, a new town, and have to start over. When I was in Westford, people were realizing my mother was doing something to me. But then I was moved to Texas. Then in Texas, the doctors heard there was something wrong with me about an allergy attack. My mother said she didn't know. But then I was taken out of there and moved to New Mexico. In New Mexico, there were no doctors, were no teachers. Then I was moved to Maine. My mother homeschooled me, trapped me in the house. And that's it. I was just stuck in their house, no teachers, nobody to look into this. So if my mother or me were having problems, like I was falling down during fireworks to the ground shaking. It was up to my mother to bring me to the emergency room. It was up to my mother to find a doctor. Well, did they? When we were in Maine, coming back from Texas, we were watching a fireworks show. It was a little chilly because it was nighttime for me. I was watching the flashing lights in the sky, and all of a sudden, I started to have a shiver shake. I went to the ground, curled up in a ball, covered my ears, and screamed, "It hurts! My ears hurt! My ears hurt! Everything hurts! It hurts!" Because I was a young 9 year old, I didn't know that if you have sound hitting your ears and it feels really bad all throughout your body, that's not really your ears hurting. But it is in a way. The sound is coming in and hurting you through your ears. So it was the sound, the lights, and the cold. But as a 9 year old, you don't know how to describe this. It's up to your parents to bring you to a doctor's so that way they can ask you the right questions about that. But did my mother ever bring me to the doctor's, a physical doctor, for screaming in pain on the ground during fireworks show? No. She told everybody must be autistic. She told everybody I was slow, I must be autistic, I must be bipolar, I have ADHD, I must have depression, I must be schizophrenic. Oh, I'm a liar, I'm a thief, I have attachment disorder. Oh, so many others. Anything she could come up with. But see, my mother had an illness. She was looking for attention, trying to avoid responsibility when she made a mistake. She liked to lie at doctors, and she wanted all the attention she could get. Like Munchausen syndrome, she would make me sick and then show everybody how she's making me better. Then she would make me sick and show everybody how she's making me better. That's Munchausen syndrome right there. And that's why she used to pick out the worst choices at the orphanage. When they were trying to do foster care and they were picking through children, I had the biggest ears, the most buck teeth, and I looked like the kid that would have probably the most problems with his appearance. I was going to be made fun of. I was going to have problems because I had buck teeth and big ears. But there's also African Americans there too that my mother brought in. Well, why did my mother want these type of foster kids and orphans in the home? For attention purposes. Look at that nice white mother taking care of those black kids. Oh, she must be such a good person. Oh, look at the little orphan they adopted. Oh, yeah. Look at how much, oh, look, it's bringing his swimming. But they don't know, the people giving my mother attention, what they don't know is she's snatching swimming medals away, calling her son no good, saying it must be an African American's, yelling at him that their 5 year old son must be out to get her, crazy stuff like that, giving me extra medicine as punishments, extra Epicac, and then she's bragging about it like it's no big deal. She's acting completely nuts in front of witnesses, hundreds of them in my lifetime. But then my father will say I'm making up these stories. And am I going to be able to drive around to find these witnesses? Can I drive to Texas to go to the doctors? Can I find out the name of the doctor I saw at age 5 to 7 that knows about the mysterious allergy attack, as my mother called it? No, of course not. They crippled me too much. You have to get me better, then I can drive around doing these things. You can't do that, no. And my father and mother have made sure that all I can do is die in the woods. They made sure of it. There's no other choice. It's illegal for me to stay alive if I don't have an apartment. I don't get to use a shelter. I can't stay at the hospital. I can't stay, and if I go in the woods, I'm trespassing, so I have to hide. I'm an illegal person because of my mother and father's decisions with lying to Social Security, manipulating on medical records. It makes me an illegal citizen. I'm not allowed to be alive. I will be arrested for trespassing. I will be arrested for being on a bench. I will be arrested for being in a park, and they'll always make up some bullshit to arrest me. They'll tell me to keep it moving, keep it moving, keep it moving, keep it moving. But after 3 days, I'll be exhausted. I'll have to pass out someplace. So I'll pass out on a bench, and then they'll arrest me because I can't keep it moving anymore. Well, why don't you go to the shelter? Well, the shelter, same thing. They throw me out, then I got to keep it moving, keep it moving. Well, how about the hospital? Well, the hospital is all manipulated by my father. They don't know what to do. Okay, what happens when you go unconscious and you have a seizure on the side of the ground? Then they keep you, right? No, they have no idea what's going on. They'll release me falling down in the parking lot. I mean, I was bad. Oh my God. I remember that one bad. I mean, they thought I was robbed too, but we had no idea what it was until later when they diagnosed that those were called seizures. But I was crossing a road with flashing lights going past me. It was very chilly. It was a rainy night. I'm looking at the crosswalk sign, and all of a sudden, my spasms get bad, and I wake up in the hospital. In the hospital, they ask me, what happened to you? I said, I don't know. Maybe I got hit by a car. I was about to cross the road, but I never crossed. And then they said they found one shoe further down the street in a board down the street, so it must be a robbery. But it wasn't. It wasn't. You could tell. It wasn't a robbery at all because nothing was stolen from me. And they said maybe I was a robbery because maybe they stole my other shoe. No, my other shoe was right there. Both of my shoes were there. There was no wallet. My pockets weren't inside out. So it was not a robbery. But the doctors didn't keep me long enough to figure it out. They always released me on the spot. Well, could I walk? No, I couldn't because the room was spinning from a concussion. When I had that seizure, I received another head injury, and the room was spinning. I had a throbbing, wong, wong. My head banged. There was no drugs in my system, just a small amount of alcohol from the night before. So there was nothing really to go on. But these doctors have all these fantasies of my mother and father. So they have no idea how they're supposed to act, so they just release me. And what happened to me after they released me? I fell in the parking lot and hit my nose right on the ground. Then I kept on trying to walk. I almost fell a couple more times, and then I did fall into a brick wall. I was walking and I fell to the left, and then I didn't hit the ground. Instead, I hit the wall, and my head banged against it, and then I kind of slid down to the ground. So yeah, that is how I get medical treatment. That's my medical treatment. Walking a gurney through downtown looking for a warm place to stay so you don't have a seizure again. That is the medical treatment I received thanks to my mother and father. So, what do I do when the sheriff throws me out in 2 days or so? What do I do? I'm illegal if I stay anywhere. So what do I do? Tell me, what do I do? Can't use a shelter. Can't go to work. Can't collect Social Security. Even if I do collect Social Security, it can only be for lies. We got to get the truth out there, then we can get Social Security. So even if I did apply for Social Security, it would be a fraudulent another case. So I can't do that. We need a doctor to give information to them. So how do I live? How do I stay alive? Tell me. Where do I stay? Where do I sleep? Nowhere. It's illegal for me to be alive. It's that simple. If I try to stay alive, eventually somebody will harass me, tell me to keep it moving, and if I ever try to stop moving, they will continue to try to arrest me. If I try to use a hospital or a shelter, they will punish me, throw me out of those places. The hospital will throw me out, and the shelters will throw me out. Why? Because I'm not complying by moving my legs, because an ambulance had to take me out of the shower, and I don't have paperwork. Those type of things. Well, who could fix this? My family and doctors. That's all. It's up to the doctors, it's up to the states, the federal government, and my family. They are the people that can fix this situation. My family was the ones who made the situation. I have no part in it. I'm just the one getting abused. That's it. I'm the guy who took the bullet. I'm not the guy behind the gun. I'm the guy taking the bullets. The shooter is still out there on the run. My father's still trying to cover up his shootings, and I'm the victim laying here bleeding, waiting for somebody to come to help me.